But before we start this interview, I thought it was worth mentioning, courtesy of MJ, of course. You see the bags? You see it? Anyways, courtesy of Mara, I should say, we have some cool little some gifts. Pre-rolls.
Yeah, now we can smoke.
Shout out Staxx Lofi Radio.
I hit this earlier. What is this? This
is the Curvana. That's the disposable pen.
96% THC. My God. Like,
wow.
But I wanted to talk to them
let's talk about, of course.
So, like, when you come to the shop and you spend $50, you get these little scratchers that we have here. And you can scratch to win prizes. So we have MJ Plus, which is a subscription service that you can sign up for. When you order delivery from us, you can win different discounts. And there's also a grand prize of $1,000 worth of credit if you get that. So
$1,000.
I kind of brought it because I thought it'd be fun for you guys to scratch it.
Oh, I'm trying to scratch it.
Oh, it's for us?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Maybe you can use this thing.
Is it this side?
Yeah, you just scratch that.
The little gold, those circle.
Let's see what you get.
Bro. Let's see what we get.
This is a collective effort. I don't know what
Yeah. Kind of a fun thing, you know. You win no matter what.
Okay.
If you get the 1,000, I'll be so stoked.
But regardless, everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner. And you get the scratcher whether you come into the store, whether you order online. If you spend more than $50, you get the scratcher.
Shit. Your next order.
Oh, you got a discount?
Oh, shit. I got 10% off.
10% off. So not only you get the dice roller discount, you also get this discount. So
there you go.
That's 20% off, my guy. Oh, shit.
Let's see.
Hey, at least it handles
dice roller motherfucking radio.
Yeah. We'll drop like $100. It'll be, what, 80? Something like that? Maybe. I don't know if I can combine discounts.
We'll be having a lot more cool stuff with you guys, too. So, we're hopefully planning a cool event around 420. We'll have a lot more stuff to share with you guys and give you guys around that time, too.
Shout out Dante Rowley Radio. I'm fanning out right now.
Why are you fanning out right now?
I'm fanning out right now. Bro, the last couple episodes, I've just been fans of our guests. I can't even look Persue in the eyes right now, bro. I feel like he's judging me.
Look at me in the eyes. I'm here for you.
You're like
you, and you, and you, and you, and you.
We're all here for each other. In this whole big space right here, it's another beautiful day.
I feel like I was staring into the eyes of the bunny keeper right now.
The bunny keeper. You guys are
careful.
You guys are talking about like a comic book or like a book or some sort, right? Or
it's a book.
It's a 2-part book.
Yeah, it exists as 2 parts, and it's a book I've written. And there's The Origins of BunnyKitty was the first book released in 2016. It was a collaboration with my late mother, and then I released the follow-up, BunnyKitty and Friends in the City, just about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
It is. Mara and I have been reading it to our children.
Yeah, I was like, you guys were talking about like children's book or something. I was like, that's cool. Yeah. And then I actually went on your page a couple of days ago, and then that's where I was like, oh, I've seen this before out and about, like on the walls somewhere in downtown or somewhere out. Like just somewhere, just like I've seen it a few times. I think there's one like in North Park or
there's quite a few,
right? Like it's a pretty noticeable thing. So that's why I was like, oh, so I've seen these before. So yeah, I can tell why you can be starstruck in this situation.
Maybe a lot of people might not know,
right?
Yeah, we definitely need to get to that introduction.
Well, you know what?
Eventually,
absolutely.
Introduction will come in soon.
A man who needs no introduction.
Yes.
Oh, no, just kidding.
Let's jump right into it. This is episode 70 of Dice Roller Radio. We are here live inside, of course, Staxx Lofi.
Shout out, George.
In the most illustrious record shop you could find in San Diego. I'm your humble and gracious and blessed, sometimes stressed host, WllB. Join with me always.
Me, Stillo, Swab City, Rottweiler. You already know what it is.
Mara Sulu, representing MJ.
MJ, you see the bags, you see the branding, bags up, we already know what it is. And of course, we have our guest here, the man of the hour. I'll let you go ahead, give yourself an introduction like Denise one.
Yeah, I'm Persue. Yeah, just a local artist and author based out of San Diego. I had my hands in a lot of things, a lot of businesses, and a lot of culture in the city. And we could probably jump into that, but I've been around for a minute.
Indeed.
You look good.
Hey, thank you. You look good too.
Is that a custom sweater too? Like, is that all like?
Oh, that's BunnyKitty. Yeah. I make gear and stuff. I press this one up myself.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, when I don't feel like drawing, I just kind of put things together in my studio. I've got a studio up in Miramar that I work out of, and that's what my think tank.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's the shared space with Mike. Do you guys still share space?
We outgrew each other. You know, can you imagine sharing this space with a literal giant? You know, I mean, no pun intended. Yeah, but we just had a lot of projects and different things, and he got into building out his car, and
that's right.
I was ambitious with doing my paintings, and we just needed more space. But we're separated by a wall, but we see each other like every day, and he's one of my oldest and dearest friends from many moons past.
That's really the first time. Well, actually, the first time that I met you was at Lower Left for a signing that you and Mike had. You had a poster sale, and I was there with my girlfriend Jonah.
Okay.
And we got there a little bit late, but it worked out because we got to get to know you guys a little bit.
Right.
And you guys were so nice, and I was like, I'm going to support these people forever.
Thank you.
And I mean, I knew who you guys were, but I'd never actually got to chat with you.
Right.
And then the second time that I really got to chat with you was at Mike's studio for art night.
Yep.
And you came with Rain.
Yep.
And Bert was making beats.
Was I trying to play bass or something?
And you were playing bass, and I just was like, well, man, this guy is just so well-rounded.
I tried.
Many talents.
I just, you know, I didn't want to conform to what, you know, society sort of tries to push you towards, and so because of the arts and the, I guess the, you know, my being discovered and working in the skateboard industry at an early age, it allowed me to kind of explore who Persue would become in many years.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
Yeah.
Super dope. And shout out to Mike Giant, man, guest from episode 69 that just we just recorded.
Oh, 69 to 70?
Yeah.
Back to back? I love it.
Yeah. Shout out, indeed, all of our last guests, of course. Episode 69 is up on all streaming platforms, everywhere you can think of podcast-wise, YouTube especially. Shout out our YouTube community. Shout out AG behind the camera, of course. And, and
shout out to yourselves for listening, man.
And of course, shout out all the old and new listeners, of course, that have kept us going for all these years and just supported and showed up to all the events and just stay tuned in. You know, we appreciate you greatly. And,
Dice rolling, motherfucking radio.
As we come towards the end of the first month of the year, how's everybody feeling? Like, are we?
It's the first time we do it when it's not raining.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too on my way here. The last couple times
nice.
It's been raining, so it's definitely kind of set the mood a little bit. But then now it's like I thought it was a really gorgeous day today. I don't know about you guys,
beautiful.
but it was a really nice day today. It wasn't too hot. The sun was out. It was cold though. Still, like, I'm layered up. You know, you're layered up too. You're layered. We're all layered up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
whenever I can layer in San Diego, I feel like, you know,
it wasn't terrible.
Actually,
I think it was like one of those like key San Diego days where it was just like it was a beautiful day, but you know, still gotta humble yourself and like warm and dress.
I was working in this
bit.
warehouse earlier today. It was freezing cold. It felt like I was working inside of a refrigerator.
No, deadass. Yeah, I was like early this morning. I felt like that too.
I was numb, honestly. Man, okay, but let's not waste a second, bro. I want to hear all of Persue's stories, man. Like, it's crazy. So I was telling you before we got on here that, like, I've been reading my son the BunnyKitty books, and he's absolutely in love with them, inspired in every single way. I could just see him, like, in his mind, like, opening up to, like, all the different elements of hip-hop, whether it's DJing or beatboxing, freestyling, graffiti.
Or open mic nights.
Yeah, open mic.
I need to get one of these. I got kids.
We're
too,
good
so
faith. He was like, "What's the
some of
open
this
mic,
shit."
Dad?" Like, bro, that's
cute.
But
mic.
yeah, man. I took Atlas and my mom to the Museum of Contemporary Art San Diego, where Persue was having his book signing. We'll introduce another guest of ours tonight, a little bit further along in the show, But yeah, it was an incredible experience for both of them. My mom, who's been wanting to write children's books, has like a stack of like unfinished books on her desk at all times. And like for her to see, kind of witness this from her perspective, you know, her being like 30 years older than me being like almost 30 years older than Atlas, and his mind kind of blooming to everything. It's just been an incredible journey to like, I mean, even the little nuance of the backstory that exists between like how I met Persue, like to me, and I'll get into that a little bit later after Persue introduces himself and talks about what he does. But it's just incredible. It's an incredible like full circle moment to me to be able to do this interview, participate with you guys, my friends who, we've been doing this podcast now for a few years, going on like almost 4 years.
Since 2018.
I think it's we are all putting in time to do the things that we love. And especially as we're all parents.
Yeah.
And it can be really difficult when you enter that different hood.
Yeah.
To make the time and space to remember who you are. So that way you can be happier and more fulfilled and be a better parent and person and friend.
Yeah, I found that having a supportive, wife or, somebody on your team to, back up. Someone who fell in love with that person, who has that drive and that hunger to do something that is, out of the box or for.
You have an amazing support system.
Yeah, my support system is no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's been through the thick and thin with me. I put her through it all, and yet here we are, like 10 years later, and we're celebrating, so many successes that we had sort of manifested or put out in the ethos, and a lot of that stuff is now coming back to us because of the love and the passion that we put into the work and the community work we do as well. So
number one thing, right?
That's beautiful.
The passion and the love, and money will come eventually.
I was broke forever. But I had a really great job in the 90s. I don't know if I mentioned this or I've even gotten into the backstory of where I sort of came from. Like I got into graffiti in the late 80s, and I was already into skateboarding before that. And
did you always write Persue?
I had a name for like a week. I had a different name for I wrote Skunk.
So I keep them on your toes, right?
I had a pompadour when I had hair. I had a pompadour and a blonde tail, and I was like, I'm right, Skunk.
Yo, that's crazy.
It had nothing to do with the strain. The strain hadn't even hit yet. It was that I'm that old.
They didn't call it that.
We're still smoking mechs, It's all twigs and seeds. But Persue was a name given to me by the person that introduced me to the movement. I had already seen it in movies like Beat Street and all that stuff, but the graffiti didn't resonate with me. I wasn't driven at that point to go out, pick up a spray can, and go paint on things. I was just like, a kid from the suburbs that wanted to ride his BMX with his friends and terrorize the golf course. But when I got into skateboarding, my parents got divorced, and I gravitated to music because my mom was single. She had, rest in peace, she had 6 kids, and it was difficult for her to get behind everything we wanted to do as kids. And so we were sort of left to figure it out. And there was no talks of colleges or going to college or school or anything. It was just like, at that time, it seemed like you could just fall in love with something you like to do and get into that profession, and you kind of just place yourself there without, college seemed optional at that time. I don't know if it was.
I feel like it seems
maybe
like
for me.
that now.
Yeah, it probably is, but the part of me wish I had gone to school, but I'm glad that I didn't, because the path that I have been taking the last 30-something years has led me here, and it's been quite the adventure. There's so many stories, so many characters.
So then you were terrorizing golf courses, riding BMX bikes, falling in love with music, and then how did you transition
into picking up a can?
Into Persue.
So Expect. He was the writer that was in my high school, and he had a black book, and he was hanging out with our friends, and I asked him what was in the book, and he opened it up, and it's all these beautiful colors and abstract letter forms, and I was like, I kind of remember, that's a movement. But he had so much passion about it, and everything I sort of asked sounded toy, and so he loved correcting me, and he loved that he had my interest, and I mean, right away I was like, I want to do that. And I think that night, the night I met him, we went out, he picked me up, and we drove around our neighborhoods with a car full of other vandals, and we vandalized our neighborhood.
You went bombing.
Yeah.
That's
We went bombing. Yeah. Sloppy, too. We were so sloppy. We thought, I was 17 at the time, 16, 17.
That's so young.
So young in comparison to where I'm at now.
And so then you started to really probably perfect your style, practice, maybe learn some tricks.
Yeah, I had to go through it, in real time. There weren't any sort of avenues to pick up the techniques. I had to be taught them by people that have been handed down to these techniques, And so a lot of my friends didn't know the techniques. We were all sort of paper kings. We drew in black books and we caught tags on walls with spray paint, but we weren't trying. We wanted to do masterpieces. We had seen spray can art and all the books that were coming out of in New York and whatnot, and some of the magazines, and we're like, I want to do that. I want to rock my name like that, and so it took a lot. It took a lot of seeking out individuals that had names and style, and I made some pretty bad mistakes. I almost lost my life by pursuing a relationship and a friendship with somebody who I thought was a king, but he wasn't. He was more of a paper guy, but more of a gangster. And I ended up, staring down the barrel of a shotgun at the age of 17 by a group of cholos, and it was a reality check to really pick and choose who I wanted to paint with.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult in a city like San Diego or just in California in general, because skateboarding and graffiti and gangs sort of run parallel with each other.
I was just about to say, like, they all kind of run almost in the same, especially like out here. Like, I mean, New York probably has a whole different like way of doing
vibe.
It's a whole totally different culture.
It's
I'm not
full
too
vibe.
familiar
We got
with it,
skatefulls.
but like I know California and like I know how certain things could be, be politicked in a way, like, in that sense. So that, so I could, I could see. I was gonna say, like, you probably have gone through the whole city and like there's nothing you haven't like covered, right? Or you've been,
I've been through a lot of different drain systems, like sewer systems and stuff like that, and under a lot of bridges, and even kicked off a lot of pits with my friends and whatnot. But I have to thank my mentors. Like I was I was in a crew called TDK. It was a crew that I started with some friends here, unbeknownst to us that there was a TDK up in the Bay Area in Oakland that was profound, and we were just kids and stuff like that. And so, we adopted this name TDK and wrote it everywhere. And we were pretty big for like a month. We had like everybody in the city, and it was everywhere. TDK was everywhere. We have a pit down there off Marina Boulevard that we still to this day called TDK. And it was started by Peng One, and rest in peace, and another artist who wrote Tweak at the time. And so that was the TDK pit. And it was ours for a while, and then word gets out, and then everyone sort of starts showing up, and we weren't a very aggressive crew, so we let people paint, and we liked to see people paint. And then the Kings started to come, and that's when I started to get noticed by Quasar, and Quasar was like, just one day I was living with my grandmother at the time. Saki had called me one day, and I was like, how the hell did this guy get my phone number? I had no idea. He's all, so what's your deal? What's your story? Your Persuade, da-da-da-da. And he's like, okay. Just feeling me out, because I guess I was making some noise, or I had, I think my approach with my style and the characters were starting to evolve, and they were like looking for maybe someone to mentor. The next day, Quasar called me, and he's like, we spoke for a little while. He's like, I'm coming up. And he drove up that day to my grandmother's house, and we sat around and we drew and talked stories, and from that point he put me down in SBA, which is Seduced by Aerosol, and I became Quasar's protege.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Incredible, man. Yeah, rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Quasar. Yeah.
What's your oldest rocking piece in San Diego? Legal or illegal, or both?
I don't know.
Or both. I want to know both. Yeah.
Oldest piece that might be around? Oh.
I feel like it's as rare as bird's teeth in San Diego sometimes because they just buff things so quickly.
Things get covered. A lot of things have been getting covered recently. I do have the spot. Doesn't even seem that old, but then, I don't know, 12 years or something, 10 years. That spot underneath the bridge in Logan. That piece is pretty old.
Right by the Blue Angels Mariscos truck.
Oh, yeah.
It's like underneath that bridge. Like,
with Vulcan and Apex and Vile. I think Coffee's on that as well. Work.
Did someone commission that, or do you normally just...
That was put on, I think, through Work, and Kroll had a relationship with a lady there. I don't think I even had met her, but they arranged it and then invited me to paint. And I just showed up and painted one day, and they finished. To me, the wall's not even done. There's like parts you could see it's not finished, but I want to say the lady was really upset with what we did because she didn't want us to do like graffiti pieces.
Oh no!
But they've been running for ever, and I think that it speaks volume because I mean that part of the town is all about that. If you think about like what Chicano Park represents and the movement that came out of there with the murals and the protests and their revolution within that neighborhood of like keeping it Chicano Park. Is an important story, and they've put up an amazing, defense and fight to keep it what it is to this day. And for me to have a piece underneath that bridge, it's an honor. So, I'm just.
I think it's a major show of respect as well because so many kids nowadays will just go and paint over something, but it's almost like they know. Like, do not touch that.
No, that spot is like a portal. That shit's like a Stargate to me. When I drive by it, I'm just like, I love that.
It's damn near like a piece of San Diego history that you can't touch it. It's like on all fronts. There's people will enforce that. There's unwritten rules around that area.
There is a wall. You know where Buca de Pepo is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you were to tear down Buca de Pepo, there would be a wall by myself and Cantu in the very back.
I think they are tearing it down, or they're like restructuring the one in downtown, right?
It might. If they do pull it down, it'd be cool to see if that piece surfaces.
It's not. It's actually no. I'm being serious. Like it's not there anymore. It's not.
Buca de Pepo's not there.
No,
it moved out
in downtown. Like it's like walled up now.
Oh,
whoa.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe if they don't sell, maybe if they do tear it down, hopefully, it'll resurface. And that's Cantu. Cantu's a prolific.
From New York?
No, Cantu's from Germany. Prolific writer and the founder of a crew called Stick Up Kids. Mm-hmm. And just like I'd say, he's had a very long career and one that is very well respected with his style. Yeah.
Is there any new artist that is inspiring to you?
Yeah, there's so many great artists these days. It's like kind of hard to sort of like pinpoint one, but we could get it. It'll probably come.
I don't want to cut you off, bro, but I saw what you wrote in that book for the
which
homie. The Prince of SD.
Yeah.
I seen that shit. I was tripping. I was like, that shit's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
What's the Prince of SD?
Well, homie is a writer from out here, and he's like a brother, a young brother, and a skater and a writer, and he went through some accidents in his life. He had one really bad accident about 10, 12 years ago, and then just went through another one recently, and we've all come together and helped to support and raise some monetary funds to help, move him from where he was up in the Bay Area where the accident happened back down to San Diego with his family and stuff. And I met homie when he was a kid. I was like, man, this little kid gets up. He's going bigger than everyone right now at the writer's block at some jam they were having. And he was probably this tall and standing on a ladder at the very top of it. And everybody was doing pieces at this level. And he was like, and it had style. And I approached him. I was like, what's your story? Like, who are you, man? And we stayed in touch through the years, and I try to support him, and we all try to support him where we can, and I try to put him in a better group of peers because, like growing up in certain neighborhoods, you could fall into some dangerous sort of situations. And so, we do our best to help people that, don't want to live that lifestyle, when they're facing having to live that lifestyle.
Another
and
local
was one of those cats that we were like,
and
he crushed it. So he's,
definitely.
he did his thing, and he's the prince of San Diego. Probably really a king, but I just thought it was cute that I met him when he was young, and he was a prince.
I feel that shit for sure. No, that's why it's dope. I mean, and then even seeing Esther, like all the work that Esther did, like under your mentorship too, like, bro, she gave me both my tats, like my Rottweiler and my Swab City tattoo. Like, to me, that's like that's my whole family. That's like the crew of artists that I came up with. Everything that I kind of learned was like parallel to these friends. Yeah. And then so to have met her and kind of just gravitated towards her style instantly because of the connection to you. Yeah. I mean, that shit was huge to me, man. So
yeah, that's crazy. I don't realize it sometimes that I've had like those sort of effects on people's creativity or lives, and then until they tell me about it,
You're going to have to sit through my other story for like the 5th time, bro.
That's cool. That's, I don't mind. But it's nice, I feel that I'm a real people person, and I like connecting with good people.
Maybe you can
even
elaborate.
Bad ones too. I like bad motherfuckers.
Yeah, the villains.
Oh, the villains are necessary.
I hang out with villains.
Can you elaborate on something for me? Can you tell me how you met Leo, or how? I remember like when you first told me, you were like, "Oh yeah, I went out. I was in Thailand or something. Like I painted rooftops with him."
With Leo?
Yeah. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know if I know. Leo, what's he write?
Leo Travesiporn. He's Thai and Mexican.
I was with him?
Yeah, so this is the story I was referring to. When I turned 18 up in San Francisco, and I was staying in my cousin's house, and there's 4 brothers. They're all half Thai, half Mexican. Michael's the one that's closest to my age. And we go out, we're like, he's like showing me the whole city and shit. He's a DJ already at that time, DJing at the Adidas original store in Haight. And his oldest brother, Leo, was like, had moved around a lot, but he was the one that was like getting in trouble, doing graffiti, everything. And then so the last day that I'm there, he's like, we're like on a call, and he's like, "Hey, David, when you go back down to San Diego, like you got to go check out my homie's store. It's called Home." Yeah. Like, he's an artist there. He's Persue. Yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I remember going, like, when I got back, I took the bus up to Home. I found it on like the Urbanist Guide, and I go in there and I start talking to you, and you're telling me how like you guys had painted rooftops or some shit like in Thailand or something, or maybe in the Bay. I don't even know. But
man, I'm getting so old. It's hard for me to remember all of the trips and.
No, I bet. But this was like I turned 18. I'm 33 this year, so it was from that point that I would see BunnyKitty, I would see Persue, and it was like,
I mean, I started doing BunnyKitty, peace to Leo, by the way. So
peace to Leo, man.
I started doing BunnyKitty. I came up with the character in 2001, but I started working as a production artist and in the skateboard industry in late 91. Early 92. And so I love branding, like I didn't know a lot. Like I had I had a couple of mentors in that whole scene. One, Ken Block, rest in peace, Damon Way, and another friend of mine named Nico, who was a prolific photographer of skateboarding and whatnot. So I bounced around the industry a lot, like establishing some of the West Coast and the world's like most prolific skateboard brands that came out of San Diego.
Yeah, most definitely.
Founding artists for brands like Drawers and Dub and DC Shoes, Osiris, Circa.
Did you work with DC when they did those DC Supremes? Like
no, I was gone already. So I had just exited. I wanted to design footwear. Yeah. So prior to that, I was doing all the graphics and all the bells and whistles on the clothes and, the trims and everything. And I wanted to learn how to design shoes, and they weren't ready for me to design shoes there. Yeah. So I left to go start Circa with Chad Muska and Nico and those guys, and they hired me because I guess Nico told the owner of what would become Circa hire Persue because I have a pretty good track record and I've worked with him at Evil in the past, and he was just like, we need to name this company Circa, or we need to name this company. And I was like, well, okay. So I did everything I can to like kind of figure out what this company is going to be. I had no idea who was involved. I had heard a rumor that it might be Chad Muska, and so I had left DC in efforts to design footwear, and it just turned out that I was there to make everything look pretty. And so I walked into this room at this guy's house. Raul Reese, he was the owner or the founder of Four Star Distribution that had a lot of snowboard brands, and they were like, we want to get into skateboard footwear. They saw the writing on the wall that there was a lot of potential and money to be made in it. And so I walked into his house, and sure enough, there was Chad Muska. Oh, what up, Persue? Oh, shit, Muska, what up? Yeah. We had only heard about each other through the grapevine. I don't think we had met up until that point. And I go, I guess we're going to figure this out, And so, about a month later, I had presented him the name Circa, and I think Brian Reed from Osiris was there because they wanted to hire him as the footwear designer and take him away from Osiris before the D3 blew up.
Yeah, wow.
And so he was contemplating it, I think, or maybe doing his market research, just to kind of see, what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Circa, and I remember Brian Reed said, that's a dope name. And then Muska was like, yep, that's it. And so after that, I had to figure out how to create an icon. Mm-hmm. And I had done all of this studies of C's and all these, icon, what's this thing going to look like? But Nico had created a little, the center of the Circa logo?
Yeah.
It's like this upside down. So it looks like a heart, kind of, but just with a flat, round, beveled top to it. He had turned that into a pattern underneath the shoe, much like the DC pill pattern.
Okay.
So he's like, this is going to be our pill pattern. So I was like, I took that and I put 2 brackets on it. Mm-hmm. And I presented it to all the salespeople, and they're like, I don't know. And I was like, and then somebody just finally said, I'm spitting all over the place. Someone finally said, hey, the icon is good, it's strong, it's gonna, and when we drop the name and who's involved, it's gonna resonate, and it did. But I left that company 8 months after I was there.
Yeah,
I was there long enough just to name Circa, design one of Muska's first shoes, and set Special Blend, Forum, and Foursquare all on their individual kind of creative path, because everything looked the same when I got there, and so I was like, okay, we need to separate all this. Mm-hmm. But
you said mic drop, I'm out.
Yeah, mic drop. Well, they wanted me to stay, and I was like, I don't think I could stay. It just feels like I could just see the beating, you're just getting into skateboarding for the money, the shoes and stuff like that, and I was like, of course, make your money. Muska deserves it. Jamie Thomas deserves. All these guys deserve to get theirs. But I think maybe it was oh man, why did I leave DC? And then Reed was like, you want to design shoes? You can come to Osiris and design shoes. And so I went to Osiris and I designed shoes for about 8 years.
Damn. How do you feel about Louis Vuitton and Gucci and shit? Totally
biting our shit.
The D3 and all the silhouettes, the big.
It's kind of crazy to see how our DNA is woven all in the high fashion stuff. But to be honest, we were inspired by them in the early 90s. If you look at early Drawers campaigns with Danny Way, there's a photo of him in his underwear with a girl, and it's very Calvin Klein. And then there's a Alfonso Rawls advertisement for Drawers that looks like Benetton, and then we would
Yo, AJ, you taking notes, bro? We're gonna need pictures of this shit on the side. I was just looking around.
Dice rolling motherfucking
archives.
radio.
So we were inspired by the high fashion stuff, but we never got any love from them.
Yeah.
But what we were doing, we were inspiring future designers, like the kid, like Virgil Abloh, rest in peace. He was inspired by CCS. He would pick up the and love drawers and love Osiris and love all these brands. And then later on, he was into graffiti too. So like he was an advocate for that.
Absolutely,
our
bro. I
movement.
feel like in a lot of ways, home was like a blueprint for what I'm doing with Rottweiler. There's a lot of new, freshly screen printed shit that I'm doing by hand. There's a lot of vintage stuff that I'm picking that I think is dope. Meshing it all together in like one silhouette, where like you can wear Vans or Converse or Jordans or cowboy boots or
right. Yeah, right. I think my brother did a really good job at curating that aesthetic. We would have meetings from time to time. I'd be like, yo, buy Pendletons.
Yeah.
Whatever flannels, buy flannels. Or, let's make home T-shirts. Like, we even did home footwear for a hot second. I don't know if you ever remember that, but we got into footwear for a quick second.
I do remember, though, is when I worked at Sporty LA in the gas lamp, and you pulled up like that brand Canvas, and they gave me some shoes that were like a natural ecru, like canvas color with like a white sole.
Yeah.
They looked almost like a Jordan in some ways, like a skate high,
like a mid top
Jordan.
or something.
Yeah.
That was Canvas.
Yeah.
The brand Canvas.
And they had me sway on them.
Drawing on it.
I had that shit on my shelf, like in my room.
Dude, we've been
bro.
like intertwined for like decades, man. That's crazy.
We
need to kick it more.
Yeah, definitely. I'm down.
Sporty LA is old shit. Yeah.
I didn't know you were doing Rottweiler until Dante told me. He was like,
"Oh, really?"
Yeah. I was like, "Oh shit. Yeah, okay." It's all
making sense. Yeah,
the multiverse.
Where's the weed at?
Shout out Dante.
Right here. The weed is always here when MJ is here.
Hey, and on that note, Dice Roller 10 gets you $10 off your next order. MJ.
That's right. Dice Roller 10.
You see the bags.
You can order online. Visit us in La Mesa. We're located on Massachusetts and University. We're just here to get you high as quickly as possible.
And safe.
And safely. And legally.
In a safe way.
Of course. Disclaimer. But, do we have any, like, rapid questions you want to ask? Or
man, I just ask him Persue a million questions, bro. You guys ask this man a question,
so
bro.
when you're traveling and you come back home, what's the first thing you want to eat?
Either La Posta up in Hillcrest or... sometimes In-N-Out. Mexican food, that's the first thing I want to eat.
Yeah. That's like one of our rapid questions was like burgers or tacos?
Yeah.
Burgers or tacos.
Tacos,
dog.
But Hayes makes a bomb.
You'd be surprised how many people would say burgers.
That's actually Atlas's favorite food.
Is it?
Yeah, he'll be
Hayes
like,
Burger?
please, let's go to Hayes Burger. I'm like, bro, they're
give
not
it up
open
to
on
you,
Mondays
Hayes.
and
You
Tuesdays.
guys, yeah, they kill it, man.
Yeah.
Really good burger.
What would you say?
Shout out Hayes Burger, man.
Yeah.
What would you say is your like most like acclaimed like piece out here? Like if you had to choose, or what if you thought?
For San Diego, I'd probably something that went back all the way to the 90s. It was a painting I did on the outside of the Stupid warehouse. And for the time, it was technically, advanced. It was huge. Like, I'd painted next to Zodak, and I think maybe Quasar had something on the wall. Stupid was a clothing brand that was pretty popular in the ASR days, like the early pioneer, like streetwear sort of vibe with rave culture associated with it. So it was kind of a mix.
Where was the Stupid warehouse?
Stupid was on 8th and G.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's like
8th and
right
G.
in the mix. Yeah.
So 5 and a dime type shit.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I think is it still? It's still there?
Oh, it's long gone.
I was like,
but it was a Chinese sorcerer holding some magic, and how I painted it, the glow and the sage colors all around it, and then it was a Persue piece, and it had like all these 3-dimensional stuff to it with water drops and stuff that, just for the time, was huge. And what was happening around that time in our city, the ASR was coming to town every year, the B-Boy Summits were happening, and so everybody saw it. And people were taking photos of it. It ended up in the Source, in the Wu-Tang, issue.
Shit.
So Chino put it in, Chino BYI, put it in the Source.
Damn.
And so I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's big.
When your shit makes it in the Source,
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah. Sources
kind of a good look. And
No,
so
definitely.
that piece showed up in a lot of people's magazines.
Damn.
And so I think I get a lot of old heads like, why don't you paint like that anymore? Well, I mean, I don't know. I kind of moved on. I'm kind of doing my own thing. Like, it's just where I'm at. It's not that I can't. It's just that I don't want to.
It's kind of like the old argument, like when someone like will go up to like Nas and be like, "Why can't you make Illmatic again?" like, fam, that was in the '90s.
I already made Illmatic.
I already made it. Yeah, I'm making new shit. So
Yeah,
it's just
so I
kinda,
feel like
you know.
people are finally starting to understand what I've been trying to say with BunnyKitty. I mean, BunnyKitty's 22 years old.
Yeah. Where's like a BunnyKitty like something?
Bro, there's like 3 on 30th.
I was about to say like
From
where's
South Park to North Park.
Those are all like pretty old now. They're like, I've got something with
Park
Gloria
Boulevard.
Muriel in downtown, probably like Park and
By the architecture
G.
school.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then I think the most recent one I did was on the outside of Arts and Rec. So they had me come and do the outside of Arts and Rec.
If you had to kind of just summarize what your message is with BunnyKitty.
Oh my gosh, it's such a diverse cast of characters.
There is a diverse cast of characters, but I just feel like there's so much to learn from BunnyKitty's story.
If you can break it down in 60 seconds.
You know,
In the origins, it's like self-assurance, you know?
My elevator
in the
pitch?
origins, it's definitely self-soothing.
Self-assurance, like coming of age. Like you're
Yeah.
on your own now. Like you got to leave the
Yeah, a lot of the
shit.
characters are tied to friends, family members, also to people that are, enemies. I wouldn't say that they're my enemies, that I need to kill them off or anything like that.
There's people that you had
But
to
people
set a
that
boundary with.
People that I had to set a boundary with.
Yeah.
Or Flea and Tick, the haters.
Officer Flea and Tick. Oh man, they want to get a bite of BunnyKitty
Yeah.
and Dee Dee Meow. Flea and Tick. It's funny because I drew Flea and Tick. The first drawings were probably 2004, and I never paint them. I never put them on any of my fine art or like the pop art stuff with BunnyKitty through the years. And then when I'd written, dude, I've been thinking about this whole story for as long as I've developed BunnyKitty, 2 decades worth. I've been living this thing. I've known exactly how all of these characters interact and their relationships with each other, and who they're inspired by, and what their purpose is, and what their lessons they bring to the reader, and their responsibility. And I feel like BunnyKitty for me is my community project, where I'm able to connect with people from all ages through, I had to tell the story through my aerosol work because I didn't have a budget, and it was the cheapest and easiest way for me to do it. And it wasn't always accepted or loved, and it probably still isn't to this day, but I found my way. And what I wanted to do was create a brand. So I wanted a brand that would act sort of like a Sanrio, but have heart and street.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Tokidoki.
Right.
A little bit more. They're a little edgier in a sense, I feel, with some other characters.
A little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Bro, this resonates with me so much. Like with the Rottweiler shit, I'm going on year 7. And
Yeah.
there's like a huge backstory to me. It just exists in my brain. And then there's like the whole Baby Milo side of it.
Yeah.
Which is, the babe to like.
Yeah, Baby Milo was an inspiration for me too, in a sense. When I was traveling through Japan and Korea in the late '90s, I was starting to see that stuff. I was, oh, that's real dope. It was all really character based, and I had done so much character work for Drawers and 8-Ball and all that stuff. And I was like, everyone always asked me like, when are you going to do your own brand? And I think they were assuming that it was going to be something like skate related and through the industry, but when I came with BunnyKitty, they were like, "What the fuck
and
you doing?"
I do think it's definitely more alongside kind of a little more Sanrio, but your own, because you just each character's just has their own story, their own journey.
Even in like a Murakami type of way, bro. Like you're just doing your own fucking thing.
I'm doing my own thing. It's funny because I didn't discover Murakami until like 2007. I had BunnyKitty in 2001. So when I saw Murakami, I was like, oh shit, this dude's like doing it.
Yeah, his shit is
and I really respected and loved his work as I had started to see it more and you know.
07, he did the graduation cover.
Yeah, and that's probably
how I got put onto
probably
it.
what it
Yeah,
was.
he did the
I was
graduation
like,
cover.
who's this guy, Murakami? I started seeing him in magazines and stuff like
That's
that.
how I got put on there.
But I think, my stuff was, just inspired by, definitely. I don't know if it was like so much. It wasn't meant to be kawaii, like kawaii culture.
Right.
Like if you look at like the oldest drawings of BunnyKitty, it's so far removed from what it is now. It's just naturally evolved as I got better and better understanding how to draw her and the characters around her. To me, like when I see Rilla, like I don't think kawaii,
Yeah,
you know, but
me
BunnyKitty I do. But they go together so well. You know, like everyone sort of has.
Okay, the last thing, I swear to God, I know we got to have Dante on here. Like,
Dante's
but okay, so you have a piece that you did for one of the tribal car shows. Mike Giant is like right next to you. There's also Dice One. Piece right next to you. So in that warehouse, I work out of there every single day, and my homie designs shoes right there.
I see that.
He reconstructs Jordan 1s like all day.
I follow his work.
So they're having a class there this weekend. You should totally pull up and just come say what's up.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
You're talking about designing shoes,
Yeah.
bro. Like this guy has like patterns for like Sakai's, for like the waffles. He's got like 3 different Air Maxes.
Yeah.
Like just come check it out, bro. Like if that's something you always kind of wanted to do, just come do it.
I appreciate that, man. It's been a long time. The last shoe project I did was my signature shoe with Li Ning.
Yeah.
I did
Hey,
a
show
couple
to the
shoes.
camera, bro.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
gonna have
right.
to get a zoom
Flex,
in
bro.
on this
Yeah,
right
hey, that's
here,
a flex.
'cause-
This is the black version. I did a white version that's like way like it's crazier.
Are you? If you had to choose, would you choose Nike or Adidas?
Wow.
What big corporation are you
not gonna answer
choosing?
that.
back to the persuade.
Neither.
Yeah, just go ahead and reach out to me, mr.persue@gmail.com. Open for conversation.
Before we wrap up, where can we find your socials? You got any like Instagram?
Yeah, I've got Instagram. It's Persue1. So PERSUE with the number 1. I've got BunnyKitty Official. I've got Keep It Rilla. I've got We Are Wet Paint because I've got that brand Wet Paint that I've been traveling the world with my partner Wayne COD and producing art shows with some of the premier street artists and graffiti artists and up and coming designers. It's really kind of a all-encompassing show that gets a lot of hype behind it. It's pretty cool, and I get to play with the fashion stuff with that.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
Check,
Man, we could do like 5 more episodes with you, bro. But we gotta have Dante on
him
for at
back.
least a second.
check out Persue on all his platforms. Look
Yes.
out if you're in the city. Look out for all his pieces.
Tag him.
Respect to the
Yeah.
legend,
Can
man.
I smoke some weed now?
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, you
I'm going to
can.
get off camera.
But thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you again.
Being a part of this.
Thank you, bro.
This is dope.
Easy.
All right, we have Dante coming up next.